But everything we like in modern liberalism derives from Christian universalism. And the great statement of Christian universalism comes in Paul's letter to the Galatians, where he says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, you are all one in Christ Jesus. And this was absolutely revolutionary to the ancient world. The ancient world was based on the principle of hierarchy and inequality. Men were superior to women. Masters were superior to slaves. Firstborn sons were superior to, later born sons. And this was regarded as inherent in nature, and nobody even questioned it. Masters could abuse their slaves in any way they liked. The slaves were their property. And all of a sudden, Christianity comes along and it says, no, you're wrong. Women are equal to men in the fundamental human relationship, which is the relationship to God. Slaves are as likely to find salvation as their masters. Foreigners have human dignity, human souls. And Paul didn't mount a military challenge to the ancient world, but he absolutely revolutionized its mind. It was very common in the ancient world to kill female babies because male babies were more valuable to you. Christians didn't do that, of course. So their families had lots of girls, and as a result, they're much happier families. I mean, imagine how dismal life would be if it was all blokes. And Paul thought
it's a bit of a problem in parts of China today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So China's a good example, because without Christianity, you don't get a sort of kumbaya, Franklin Roosevelt sunny uplands of rational discourse. You get a pre-Christian paganism, which is very brutal and very savage. The idea that every human being has human rights, inalienable human dignity, it's not a given. It's only a given because we've had 2,000 years of Christianity telling us. And in the initial generation, when you abandon Christianity, you still use Christian categories. So you live off the capital. But we've now been abandoning Christianity for so long that we are, I think, heading to a kind of a pre-Christian paganism. The last time we had a pagan environment, it was hypersexualized. It was very cruel to women. It was very savage. Columnist I greatly admire, Ross Douthat, says, if you didn't like the religious right, you just wait till you meet the post-religious right. Yep. The left are crazy if they think they're going to win forever. No, 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 no. But they will be opposed by people who are much more savage, much more ruthless, who are obsessed with their own nationalisms and tribalisms than were their Christian opponents. And the whole amalgam of values that we enjoy as modern liberalism, broadly defined, emerge organically and directly out of Christianity. And a lot of my friends, conservatives who are not Christian believers, and I'm not criticizing anybody in the book at all, but they would say, well, we can have the values, but we can't have the belief. Now, you can't have the belief merely in order to have the values, but I just think as a matter of analytical judgment, we can't have the values if we don't have the belief. Ultimately, the values are unsustainable without the belief.
An aside, my reference to China was that we know that under the one-child policy, vast numbers of baby girls never grew up, never got the opportunity to live. And that was true of the pagan and ancient and cruel world as well. And Rodney Stark argues that, in fact, the explosion of Christianity happened largely because little girls were valued equally with little boys and allowed to live. That's a profound point that is so easily overlooked. And it brings me to something else I'll come back to universalism and Paul in a moment, because I want to explore that in the context of our modern society. But before we do, G.K. Chesterton is famous for the remark that stop believing in God and you won't believe in nothing, you'll believe in anything. Now, that's where our culture's gone. Do you think that one of our major problems in the West is that we no longer have a narrative that binds us together?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a critical question for the West. So I don't in this book argue an instrumentalist view of Christianity. I'm not saying believe in Christianity because that'll save Western civilization. But incidentally, just by the way, it will save Western civilization. So I say believe in Christianity because I think it's true, and the evidence is overwhelming that it's true, and it fits with our senses, it fits with our rationality, and who can ignore the personality of Jesus Christ? But a separate argument is that the West was formed by Christianity. Now, here's a paradox. Christianity is truly a universal religion. It's open to every human being, whatever their background. The majority of Christians today are not Westerners. People in China are suffering persecution in order to live out their Christian faith. The same is true in Pakistan, in Africa. These people are 24-carat Christians, suffering much more persecution than we could ever imagine. They are absolute roll gold Christians. However, it is also the case, it is a simple matter of historical fact, that Western civilization grew up as a result of Christianity and in a dialogue with Christianity. It's also true that Christians did a lot of bad things over that time, no doubt about that. I think overwhelmingly, though, Christianity was a force for the good, but certainly a lot of Christians did a lot of bad things. But now the West is going crazy. It is abandoning the roots of its own civilization. So a couple of years ago, John, I wrote a memoir. I went to all these book festivals, writers' festivals, very nice of them to invite me. There was not a single book written from a pro-Christian or a pro-Jewish point of view. Imagine going to a writers' festival in Islam and not finding a single book, in Indonesia rather, and not finding a single book that dealt with Islam. Imagine going to a writers' festival in India and not finding a single book that dealt with Hinduism, or in Thailand, not finding a single book that dealt with Buddhism. That is crackers. All of these other societies have vigorous national and civilizational narratives. And with the Chinese, it's largely nationalism. Same with the Russians, really, it's nationalism. With other civilizations, it is often other religions, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. Only in the West are we saying the very idea of a narrative, of a transcendent purpose, of a metaphysical purpose. We reject the very idea of that. And I think we're going mad as a result. The human psyche is designed to have meaning. Viktor Frankl, in his beautiful book, Man's Search for Meaning, he was a survivor of Auschwitz and Hitler's death camps. He says the essential need of all human beings is for meaning. With meaning, a human being can bear anything. When he knows why, he can bear anything. But without meaning, a human being is a very, very dangerous person. A human being then tends to look only for intensity of experience. And in the end, if there's no absolute, then there's no reason to judge things absolutely out of order, such as, killing large numbers of people or enslaving people or deciding that some categories of human being are subhuman and ought to be killed. That's the road we're heading down. It's quite crazy. However, this is not an essay of cultural despair. There are tremendous green shoots, new movements. Although Christianity in the West is in ambient statistical decline, there are tremendous signs of rebirth and regrowth within the Christian movement in the West as well.
Thank you for watching this episode. We appreciate your support. If you value vital conversations like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel there and also click the notification bell to stay up to date with new releases.